Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming and welcome to another episode of 10 Things I'd Like to See, another wish listing episode. These episodes are just me wish listing and thinking about what I'd like to see in some of the armies that are in Age of Sigmar and what I'd like to see come from them in the future. This is all just personal wants and potentially personal needs, but for me this is just a bit of fun. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. There seem to be a lot of people enjoying them and putting their own opinions out there, and I'd really love to hear your own opinions on these subjects as well and things you'd like to see from these armies in the future. So today we're going to be looking at one of my favourite armies, the Stormcast Eternals. I'm a massive fan of Stormcast Eternals. I have an entire warrior chamber and working on getting the full Sacrosanct, Extremis and Vanguard auxiliary chambers as well. But let's get into that, and we'll start with my first thing I would like to see in Stormcast Eternals. And number one, I've already said their name, I'd like to see the warrior chambers brought up. They're not really prominent at the moment, like there doesn't seem to be much happening with them, both lore-wise and on the table. You just don't see the awesome-looking units that are like the Paladins are fantastic models, Judicators look amazing, Liberators, I really like the Liberator model. I think it's a very underappreciated model in Age of Sigmar. I know people they prefer the Sequitur, but I think there's just something unique and nice and clean about a Liberator model, and I really wish we would see them on the table more. This sort of goes into my second point as well that I want to make, which is make the Stormcast fight like the heroes they are. And so the Warrior Chamber to be brought up, I think, really needs to have the whole Stormcast in a whole brought up to that level of where they need to fight like the warrior gods, like demigods they are. And I think like a sufficient increase in power would not go amiss in Stormcast. Potentially, I don't know whether it's putting rend or extra damage on Liberators, even potentially buffing the army up to a 3-up save army-wide, I think is something that could be done. Stormcast heroes in the finest armor and weapons a god can possibly provide them, imbued with the lightning and a portion of his soul. They should be fighting like demigods on the battlefield. These things should be able to sweep across 5 Liberators, should be the equal of 60 Grots, and like maybe not quite that, but you get my point. These things, they're just, Stormcast just almost don't feel like the heroes they are at times, and I really hope with a new Battle Tome we can make them that bit more powerful to feel like the heroes they are. And whether that has to come with point increase or whatever, I don't care. I just want them to feel and do the things I read about them doing in the narrative on the table. This brings me to number 3. So I'd like to see the Lord Celestant model expanded upon and brought into, given more mounts. So we've already obviously got, like, the Lord Arcanum actually has quite a few. Like we've got obviously the Lord Arcanum on foot, you've got the Lord Arcanum on Taurolon, Griff Charger and Dracoline. The Lord Celestant at current has the Dracoth and the Star Drake. I think maybe potentially, and like not just for Lord Arcanum, I think this would be a cool thing to do for potentially maybe Extremis Chamber or other things like that. Giving mounts out to the Lord Arcanum, and bring me to my other point as well. Possibly the Knight level heroes would be quite cool to see as well. So things like the Heraldo, the Vexilla, even Questors on foot, and like that sort of thing. Maybe give them mounts, and some mounted character variations would do a lot just to give options to them, I think. And yeah, I'd just really like to see more mounts. I'd like to see a Lord Celestin on things like a Griff Charger or being able to take a Taurolon, and maybe like I was saying, Knight Questors like on cool mounts that they travel across the realms with would be really cool as well. So that's 3 and 4 sort of merged into one, I guess there. Number 5, I found this when I'm like looking and I'm building Stormcast armies. The spell laws are quite underwhelming. There's a lot of lightning striking and all that sort of stuff, but I think the prayer lists are pretty good. They're fairly well balanced, and there's a lot of like utility and damage and potential in the prayer lists. But I find the spells just fall flat for me. I really like using Stormcast Wizards. I like the Incantor models. I really think the Lord Arcanum is a sweet model, as well as the Lord Exorcist are all really cool models. But I just find their spells are lacking for me. They don't do anything special. They don't make me think anything cool. And there's a list in there, I feel, of Stormcast potentially being built as a magic heavy list if they had a better lot of spells. For me, this is just something that can be improved upon. Going on to point 6, I would like to see potentially more heroes added, more named heroes added to the Stormcast Eternals, but please just no more Hammers of Sigma ones. I'd like to see maybe rules come out and models come out for things and characters like Gardas. Like, he's such a prominent character in the lore and all the novels that we read. I'd really like to see Gardas actually get a model, get rules, and we have like other cool characters that we read about. I mean, we've obviously got what we assume is Balthazar Gelt reincarnated as Balthazarum, and maybe give him rules and look at some other heroes from other storm chambers, or even make some new ones up to give us something else. But I feel like Gardas and Balthus are really good characters that could be used in a new battle tome for Stormcast, and really given like the backstories we already have, because like Balthus only has like one novel on him, but we know the whole story of Balthazar Gelt, who we are assuming he is. Like, we don't actually know, but we're assuming, and we're pretty sure we're right. But Gardas has like this whole story. He started from the very beginning. He was in the very first book of the Realmgate Wars, and he's all the way had this massive storyline just plodding along. And I'd really like to see like how he is depicted rules wise on the table now. And yeah, so that's a cool one. For me, number 7, I want to see some new cool monsters. Like, every time they bring Stormcast out, they bring out some new weird, wacky monster. At first, we got the Dracoline was shown off first, and we got the Star Drakes, and we got Griffhounds, and we got Aether Wings and Griff Chargers shown off in the Vanguard Auxiliary Chamber. And then we got the Dracolines and the Taurolon shown off. And Stormcast just seem to have all these really cool Azir mounts. I mean, we got the Star Eagle as well that floats around with the Night Venator. I think we could have something else new and cool, especially if we get a new Stormcast chamber. Something different. I don't know really where we go. But I think that's an area to explore, is new, cool, wacky monsters. Because Stormcast armies look amazing when you have all these monsters arrayed in them together. Now we're getting into a bit of lore stuff for me. Number 8, I really want to know where Vandus Hammerhand is, what he's doing now, and how he's sort of going after all of this. He sort of disappeared off the face of the earth, really, and we're not... The last mention I got for him was in, spoiler, Neve Blacktalon mentions him in Blacktalon First Mark, and like how he sort of changed and maybe losing a bit of himself, and maybe he's a bit cursed, but we're not quite sure what's happening with him in the storyline. He was such a major player. Obviously, he's the first ever Stormcast who set foot on the Mortal Realms again. And so I think he's a really cool character that we can bring back, and maybe he's changed somewhat. Because he always was, I guess, that cookie-cutter generic character, and they always suffer from people thinking that, you're generic boring, It's Superman syndrome all over again. But you need those cookie-cutter good guy characters, because without them, the other sort of characters like the Bear Eater and Gardas, they don't seem so different if there's nothing cookie cutter to base them against. So yeah, I'd really like to see what is happening with Vandus. Point number 9, so this is an interesting sort of subject, and it sort of gets hinted on a little bit of Star Wars. With the Sacrosanct going out and fighting, how's this affecting Reforging? Because we know the Sacrosanct was actually the chamber in charge of the Reforging process. The Lord Arcanums guarded the vault of the Seven Smiths and didn't allow Lightning Geists to get out, or sometimes they did, but they were the protectors of the vault and protectors of the Reforging. So with them going out into the field in such numbers now, how is this affecting Reforging? Is this changing the way Reforging works? Is it slowing down Reforging, or is there a new way that Sigmar is doing Reforging now? It's just an interesting sort of thing to think about, and maybe something they can delve into lore-wise. Number 10 is a rules one, and normally I like to finish on lore ones, but I've got a rules one in this because it sort of is the lore. Stormcast have a rule called Shock and Awe, which is when they drop down, they're -1 to hit. Now, the rule as it stands is really cool, it's really thematic. It doesn't really do an awful lot at the moment, because only for the turn they drop down, not the battle rounds. Extending it to battle round probably makes it a little bit better, and that's a start in the right direction. But for me, I think this is a rule that can really be lent into. Like, Stormcasts come down and crashes of lightning. like potentially maybe doing mortal wounds to like a radius when they strike down, and or something like that, and really pushing hard into this shock and awe tactics that they use when they strike down from the skies. I think would be a really great way to actually push the army to another level of competitiveness, as well as push the lore and how they actually come down and strike into battle. So, anyway, that's 10 things I'd like to see from Stormcast. I'd be really interested to know what you'd like to see from Stormcast. These are the poster boys of Age of Sigmar, and I'd be really interested to know what your thoughts on them are. For me, Stormcast, I wasn't keen on them at first when they first came in Age of Sigmar, but they grew on me, and they have grown on me quite a lot. I mean, I have quite a substantial collection of them now. But I'd like to see what you all think of Stormcast, what you'd like to see from Stormcast, and leave them in the comments down below of what you'd like to see. Don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you once again to all our patrons who support the channel. You guys are amazing. We're hoping we can get filming some more battle reports soon, but current situations we unfortunately can't, but we'll get some up very shortly as soon as we can. That's all from me now though. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey.